What is up, my people? JaxB.TheRipper here. So I want to quickly do this video as quickly as possible because it's something I've been really wanting to do. I don't know why, it's just I really been wanting to do this, and I know a lot of you guys enjoy my metal and the occult videos, and I decided to do something a little bit more different, more on the spiritual side, mediumship if you want to call it, whatever words you guys choose to call it. Anyways, not too long ago, I just saw a video on Jani Lane, basically him connecting with the psychic medium called Sloan Bella. Now Sloan Bella is probably one of my favorites because I don't feel like she's a phony like a lot of the ones that are on TV. I'm not gonna name names, but the thing is too, she's also a professional astrologer, and that's what got to me right there. Our spiritual beliefs are different, and I don't always believe with her 100%, but that's in, you know, everything part of the world. Like, nobody agrees with each other 100%. It's the same thing in the spiritual world. So keep that in mind. But there is some stuff that she talks about that maybe I want to put my little input just for my knowing stuff about the occult, or just the fact about demon work, or whatever it may be. And I want to also summarize this video for you because she really does get into heavily in astrology, probably like in the first 15 minutes of the video, of Jani Lane's birth chart. And I'm just, if you don't know what a birth chart looks like, I'm gonna go ahead and put mine right here. That is just a very simple one. That's not even an advanced one or anything. I don't even know if I'm going to choose one where there's transits in it, but that's one form of a birth chart. So just keep that in mind. Does it look confusing? Absolutely. So you're not going to understand. I even wrote one down where she basically says Saturn is conjunct with Aquarius in Mars. So you're not going to understand the 23 degrees, whatever. So I'm just going to break it down what she's talking about, and maybe I'll bring in some astrology and what I could put in my point of view. And I also want to refer to a time where I did a video on Bobby Jean Brown, where I just basically did my makeup like the Cherry Pie music video that she had, try to mimic it as much as possible, especially because at that time I had bangs, and I got a lot of hate on that. Look, I accidentally said Jani Lynch because it was basically the same thing. I know it's not the same person, but I was like, no, it has to be Jani Lynch. Like, that's such a cool name just in my head, right? And I was like, oh, I said the wrong name and I left it in there. I was like, whatever. But people got so offended, you know, because they can't, you know, that's just the internet, you know what I mean? And mind you, these were all like Gen Xers of that time, so they really took it to heart. So, and I'm probably going to take, I don't even know if I have it on private or unprivate. Sometimes I go back and forth, but I had said some obnoxious shit in there, even when I kind of look at it as like, I understood why I said that, but I don't think people understood why I said that. But it was definitely a video that was either hated or liked, one or the other. But a lot of people mainly got mad more because I said the name wrong, but also because I mentioned the sexual abuse. Now, I deleted that comment with the one person who touched on it, saying, because first of all, I read it in Bobby Jean Brown book, Dirty Rocker Boys of the Sunset Strip, I believe it was called. I read it in there that Jani Lane got sexually abused by someone in power in that industry, which happens a lot, and we are now hearing it about the Diddy case and everything. But the thing is, it's been going on. There's always been talk about it, just people always kept it in the low, or they kept it as like an urban myth. So it was always happening since, like, even before like the 1940s, basically when golden Hollywood started to develop. And I just remember this person came in like so angry, like, you know, I know Jani Lane, and you know, we're good friends, and I never heard any of this. You could even follow me on, that's what she said, you could follow me on Instagram. I was like, delete. No, I just and keep in mind, maybe she didn't know, because this doesn't sound like something like a person, especially a man, wants to talk about, you know, especially a man, especially in that misogynistic kind of industry and the type of music it was and everything. I don't feel like, yeah, he's gonna come out and say something about this, especially to, like, I don't know. I mean, I think Bobby Jean Brown was one of the fewest one who found out. Well, let's go ahead and just get into a little bit of what she's talking about in the astrology form. So, and also I am going to do this way more respectfully because this is a person that passed away. You know, the other video, it was more on the makeup of Bobby Brown and everything. I will apologize for, like, you know, acting really snarky in that video, and you know, and I still act snarky, I'm not gonna lie, but also I do have a defensive mechanism, whereas, like, you know, the internet, I knew the internet was gonna be an ugly place, so I quickly put up a snarky attitude. So and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna completely change on that, you know. I won't be surprised if I do it again, but I will be as much respectful as I can, just because I am sensitive to some of these topics as well, and I will pay respect for him as well. So anyways, basically when she talks about, you're going to hear all these trances, you're going to hear all these planets, basically is what she's saying. He's always been very psychically, especially emotionally, very psychically emotionally. Has the kind of like a mentality, almost like very old mentality, but yet he had this expression, kind of like attitude and everything, and he definitely does have trauma from the father's side, and it is very generational. So you could pick that shit up in astrology for sure, and as well as tarot reading. He definitely has that. And then I do want to touch on the rising sign, like how she thinks he's a Cancer rising. It's just the only reason why I strongly agree with her on this subject is because ever since when I watched him on that one interview that he did on that metal show, I just remember seeing how in pain he was. Maybe it was physical pain, but I felt it more emotionally. And I barely knew anything about Warren. I just knew the Cherry Pie song, and that's it. And I knew it, you know, you didn't even have to tell me this guy has been like on drugs and, like, you know, on everything, and went through a lot. I was just able to see that. I noticed that with a lot of Cancer risings. They're usually latchkey kids, or they are orphaned, or they felt like they were orphaned, or they lost somebody close to them in the family, but I even know personally a lot of Cancer rising. It's like they have that solitude, abandonment, I have no one kind of like sadness in their eyes. So it really looked like that. And I also remember seeing that, you know, interview when it aired and everything, even though they had already recorded it. Like months later, I met my friend Jeff, and he even said, like, yeah, I was there at the bar when he got slapped, and then the next day I find out he was dead, and he got slapped at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. That's not funny, I know, but no, he slapped someone, then he got slapped because the owner of, at that time, Mario, came down, was like, don't slap my staff around, basically. So I do really agree with that. And then in relationship forms, he kind of had that victim mentality. And again, I will touch a little bit on this one because he had a Venus in Pisces. Venus in Pisces, that's usually a strong, especially having a good degree, that is a strong entertainment business. Like, you could be very successful. I think Selena, the original Selena, had that too. And you guys are not gonna like this, but Harvey Weinstein, and that's because he is a Pisces with the Pisces Venus. So there's a lot of people with that that are either in the entertainment industry, and that's not the only, you know, the only thing in a birth chart that would indicate that, or they do something in death. I know, because Pisces is the last sign, you know, there's nothing after that. But because of that, and there was another thing going on with the moon, he basically is like, he doesn't portray what he is in relationships. No, how can I say this? How he portrayed himself in relationship, and not just, you know, romantic relationship, was not what you got in the relationships. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope I'm quoting her correctly, what she said that. And that is a very, yeah, Venus and Pisces conjunct to the moon. I'm trying not to be fucking confusing, I'm sorry, but the moon hides things, so it makes sense. And like Pisces, sometimes not just Gemini, Pisces could sometimes be a mask, you know, and then they fall in love with everything. So that I could see that, I could definitely see that for sure. And also, you got to remember, Venus also represents the business and the type of work you're in. It's not just, you know, beauty and like fashion and all that stuff. It is like the house, one of the places how you make your money in career wise. So I was like, okay. So I hope I explained that section better, you know, a little bit about him and everything. He definitely was like a person who also beat himself a lot. I could see it emotionally how he did that, especially because he was in a work environment where they wanted him to perform in a certain way. He felt like he just couldn't do it anymore. She hints a lot about something that happened in 1996. Again, I didn't follow the band that closely. I just know whatever I read in the Bobby G Brown book, as well as like I know eventually they did a whole video. Somebody on YouTube did a whole video on Jani Lane about the abuse that went on to him, and we're going to get into that. We are going to get into that. I did not watch that video. I am only going by from what I've heard or what I've read and what I'm trying to translate to you of this you know, video. I'm not saying not to go watch a Sloan Bella one. I'm just trying to like make it as simple as possible, but definitely after this I do suggest you guys to go watch that video. There's two videos actually, and I will link them down below. But I'm not surprised that he beat himself up. A lot of people who have a Virgo moon or a Capricorn Mercury, the earth signs tend to beat themselves up a lot. Maybe Aquarius is too a little bit, but they definitely beat themselves up a lot. So I'm not surprised with that. But there was something in 96 that something happened to him where he kind of just stopped. Is the way she made it seem. Sloan, the way she made it seem was like he just kind of had enough of the career or something like that. And then he did mention like how he loved what he did, but at the same time he hated it. And I bet you anything, because you know, at the end of the day, a business, the music is a music business, you know. Yes, it's the music industry, but it's a business at the end of the day. And unfortunately, Jani, I know what you're feeling, because even what I'm doing right now is now so corporate, and I'm just like done with it. So I totally understand that feeling right now, and in some ways I felt like I needed to watch that video so I could, you know, decide what I'm gonna do about this. She does get on the when he passed away. So from what I got out of all of this is like there was a woman that, or somebody basically paid him to go to the hotel where he died, and then there was a brunette woman. I believe there was another person. The way it made it sound, there's like definitely maybe like more than one person there, because when he kept sending the messages to Sloan, he kept saying, I was choking. He said I kept on choking, and they basically made sure he kept choking. It could have, like, again, I don't know exactly what he died of. I did not look at this. I know somebody's going to leave in the comments, and that's fine. And you know, feel free to do so. But like from what she was getting was like there definitely was like a delivery, you know, like, hey, you have some, you know, drugs, and then they'll be like, yeah. And there was definitely a delivery, probably some alcohol poisoning, because I do remember, if I remember watching that interview on that metal show, he said something about being sober for like I don't know how many years now. So I won't be surprised if he realized, because isn't that what he died of, alcohol poisoning? Because like she said, like, you know, from the way he sounded, like he was trying to get to the phone and he was trying to call. I didn't know he had more than one wife, first of all. So if I'm wrong or we're wrong, please correct us. But there was some paperwork he needed to sign, but he kept putting it off because of depression, and apparently it kind of made that woman's life a little bit of hell because he didn't sign it, or maybe just made things more difficult, who knows. But like I think that was one of the things he regretted, you know, even though he felt relief when he finally passed over. You know, he didn't feel the pain anymore. There was a woman that crossed him over and he was just so happy. He definitely regretted the fact that he left his children behind, and she kept mentioning 3 kids. Now eventually she does go back and say, oh, there's actually 2, but there was something about a middle child, or I don't know, maybe he had 1 child that, like, you know, passed away or something. I don't know either, but she kept calling her the middle child. So but I know he connects with that child a lot. But he definitely said that when he passed away, that they made sure he stopped breathing and they took shit from him. It was definitely say it could have been prevented. It could have definitely been prevented for sure. Now, again, maybe I should step in and say allegedly for entertainment purposes or only. So I'm gonna go ahead and say allegedly for entertainment purposes. This is all allegedly for entertainment purposes only. And you're gonna see me eventually draw out a tarot card because I have a question. That's why. He gets onto the abuse that he faced with whoever this could have been that abused him. Again, this is all allegedly for entertainment reasons only. But he does talk about it finally, and I was actually kind of a little bit surprised, but then not really. The reason why he's bringing this up is because what happened to him, they did it to somebody else, and it's going to be brought up because of that person, and then it's going to be, you know, directed back to, oh, remember what happened to Jani Lane kind of situation, which I'm guessing is what's going on. Ooh, that was a little funny feeling. Okay. So it's basically that's how they're going to bring this person to light of what he's been doing. And what he said is like, it does not surprise me. He's like, there's a whole shelf of videos of people who have been abused like he was, and this person or even other people would use it for blackmail basically. And which sometimes I wonder, maybe that's how they got these bans, or just anybody in Hollywood, let's just call it, to overwork them until they're like, I don't know, until they're 27 or 24, and then they're like, okay, you're gone, let's bring in the next one. We got what we wanted, we blackmailed you, we pressured you, we put you on the drugs, now be gone. So sometimes I wonder, no, that is how it is. Let's just fucking admit it. That's just how it fucking is, to get them to work and do all this bullshit. And he does say like there is going to be someone close to him that is gonna bring it to light, and that's where I get curious. As I'm wondering, is it going to be Bobby Brown? And I know people are like, why do you always say Bobby Jean Brown? Because I don't want you to guys think about the Whitney Houston Bobby Brown. That one was also a gnarly thing when she touched on the, that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and ask, is it gonna be Bobby Jean Brown? Let's see. Ooh, one card fell to the floor. Ooh. Oh, holy shit. Okay, so I got the World card, Justice, Judgment, and the Knight of Swords. So that already, I usually when I ask a yes or no question, I just ask for like 3 cards, but this was like 4, and that pretty much was like, she may be one of them for sure. So allegedly for entertainment purposes only. So okay, so there's that. And from the details that Jani gave about what happened to him, he didn't get too specific, but that the person who did this to him was into, I mean, in general, just filming it without consent is fucking terrible as it is, but he was violent. Like, he was a violent person. And, Jani is very psychic, especially when she, break down the birth chart and everything. I mean, a Cancer rising is also very psychic. Placement, and so is the Virgo moon. Virgo moons, and then I do agree with her what she said about Virgos in general. I do feel they are way more psychic than Pisces. I know Pisces takes all the credit for that, but you also got to remember Pisces has a veil over them and they don't want to see shit sometimes, whereas like fucking Virgo is more brutally honest and very detailed, and they are ruled by Mercury, and they get the messages and they can't hide from it like Pisces will fucking do. So I do believe her to a certain degree on that. They left injuries on him, and there was a woman that helped out with the situation of filming of the whole situation, and that it left scars on him, and that this person was just violent in general. And he said that the person, like, she calls them demons. I don't believe demons, because this is where I'm going to get a little bit more into the occult. Can it be? Sure. But the problem, what I see with that is demons they'll work with a human, but they're not going to be attached to you, because you're too much of a, I don't even want to say a low vibration. You just have nothing that they want to consume. Let's sort of say like a Loa or a parasite, a spiritual parasite. That's what I think it was. I think this person had a lot of spiritual parasites on him, and he was just able to, or it could have been an egregore, and he was just able to attach it to Jani. And because he was young, he was under the influence, and when you're under the influence, especially because they spiked it, your body is basically an open portal. Something could get through it uninvitedly and stay there. So it kind of makes sense that there was probably a spiritual parasite, or maybe more than one, that was following him and stayed with him. And then whenever he'll mention any kind of spiritual stuff or psychic stuff, they looked at him like he was crazy. The prediction she made, that supposedly Jani told her, is probably next year we're going to hear about this. And there are names of bands he mentioned that partake. Now keep in mind, that doesn't really mean that a band member took part of this. It could literally been like, I don't know, like a manager or whatever, or it could have been one of the band members. But she mentions that this is where it gets confusing, and you need to go into part 2 in the video, see this, and she touches more on part 2, but I think I'm going to end it here. But basically she mentions the Eagles, Deep Purple, Judas Priest. However, she gets confused, not confused with Deep Purple and Judas Priest. It's just like he says Judas Priest, but she hears the song Smoke on the Water. So that's why she said Deep Purple. So, you know, again, go and watch the 2 videos so you could try to understand what I'm talking about. It could be there's a message in Smoke in the Water maybe. And again, it doesn't really mean it could have been the members of the band. It could, don't get me wrong, because David Bowie did some fucked up shit, and so did Jimmy Page, but like kidnapping the whole 13-year-old girl and holding her hostage and not letting her go, you know, and having unpaid security to make sure she doesn't get out of the hotel room. So trust me, I could definitely believe that they did something like that, but again, allegedly for entertainment reasons. And not only that, there's so many connections to it could have been. So anyways, this is where I'm gonna leave it off right here. I do also believe that whatever they did to him was kind of like a ritual, in a way. I wouldn't be surprised, like some kind of Illuminati ritual. So I do believe in some ways it was a ritual. Yes, it could have been for blackmail too. It was for a lot of reasons, but the thing is, what I have a question, if you guys know or anybody know. See, this was it in May or June? The reason why I felt more like I needed to do this video and talk about it a little bit, because I get my dreams are very on point. Like, they're very on point, and I get a lot of like human trafficking dreams. I get a lot of like you know, kind of situations, like I'll dream about that of other people, and I see it and I don't know what to do. And there was one dream I had in particular, and I'm not going to get too in depth with it, but there was one dream I got in particular where I kept seeing a little boy, very blonde. Jani Lane was very fair, very fair. I was like, I wasn't even sure if that was his real natural blonde at first, but apparently he was very fair. I'm trying to look for a picture of him, and I googled it and I didn't find it, but if anybody could send it to me in the DMs and Instagram, Facebook, wherever, go ahead and do so. But I just remember seeing a little boy vividly staring at me, and then after that it turned into a ritual, like a very Illuminati ritual, and they were, I'm not even gonna say because it was so disgusting, and it stays between me and my other people my that work with me spiritually, and that's it. And maybe later on I'll touch upon it more, but they were gonna do something very sexually to this boy. Now, Jani Lane also got boundaries were crossed when he was a child, let's just say that. So sometimes I wonder if I was seeing like the inner child of him. And then when I brought it up with one of my spirit teams, it was kind of saying it was him. It was kind of him. And the thing is too, I think there are other band members that know, and they're okay with what happened to him. Because a lot of the times when you see, if you do see somebody like a child form of, like, I don't know, a family member, anybody, is the inner child that is trying to contact you first because there's something that they need to settle with that, or that's just what they choose to send. I don't know, but I won't be surprised if we hear names from Motley Crue, and I could be definitely wrong, and again, for allegedly for entertainment purposes only, but I always got something really fucking weird from, what's his name, Vince Neil. Now I was about to call him V Neil after the makeup artist. No, Vince Neil. I get a sick, twisted feeling from him, and you know, the other members of Motley Crue, I kind of feel like they know, but and they're more about, yeah, it happened, so what, like that. I don't think they partake in it, but it was like, of course it happened, you know, like, because they have a very fucked up mentality, again, for entertainment purposes, allegedly only. I'm like mixing it all up now. But it was, I just remember in that dream seeing the little boy, getting a Motley Crue vibe, and I'm just gonna say it, I got an Alice Cooper vibe. I'm just gonna say it. But again, I might be wrong. A lot of this might be wrong, or more stuff will come through and we just were like, holy shit, that was more than I thought. Okay, so I'm gonna end it there. Yeah, again, if any of you guys have like a picture, or you could find a picture of Jani Lane, just so I could confirm it with myself, will I eventually come out and say yes or no? I don't know yet. Maybe later on when, you know, it gets revealed. Here's the thing about Sloan Bella, the only reason why I even touched on her videos, she predicted almost 90% of the stuff. that what's going on right now in Hollywood. Like, and these were videos that came out like maybe 2 years ago, like the whole P. Diddy situation. I forgot. John Benet Ramsey, and then like there's a long list. She even has one on Brandon Lee. But yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna see you guys in the next videos. I do not have my water with me. Salud. I got a knockoff Stanley cup. I just like this. Yeah, I got it at Buc-ee's. Anyway, salud, and I'll see you guys in the next video.